I need to get a pump for the video. It all started about a month ago when you found out on this channel that the first ever ApexUltra kitchen knives forged in Japan came in the shape of a limited batch of Naoki Mazaki Gyutos, both 210 and 240. And yes, this is one of them in my hands right now, which I will use in this video and share my first impressions on. First, what you might ignore is that the result of these knives also includes me in this story. This knife release and project had been in the works since my first trip to Japan with Banzai Boys trading in September of 2023. So of course, obviously, I had to have one for myself. This right here, the 210mm version, just like everyone else, without a handle. And yes, I tested this knife also without a handle. Why? Because I couldn't be bothered to wait for a custom handle before using it, and because, believe it or not, I've spent 3 hours already matching handles to this blade to figure out the perfect combo. At the end of this video, I will show you the many combinations of custom handles I'm thinking of, and you can guess in the comments section below which one I decided to get. For those that didn't watch the release video, here's a quick summary on what you are looking at. 215mm of ApexUltra cutting edge wrapped in a Hon SanMai soft iron cladding by Naoki Mazaki. A classic Sanjo tapered spine, hand flattened bevels, subtle convexity, and an edge likely sharpened around 8K as Mazaki-san is known to do. I forgot to mention, this knife has an extremely thick and super textured Kurouchi or forge scale finish. Yes, without a handle, I have to choke up a bit on the blade. More than usual, meaning in some ways I may be restraining the natural digging in of the blade, but at this point, sharing my opinions on this knife with you was more important than waiting until I got a proper handle. Let's dig in. If you'll remember, I just mentioned how the cutting edge was likely finished at 8K, so not ideal when it comes to bite for the taut skin of a cherry tomato or bell pepper. That doesn't mean I wasn't going to try. Of course I was gonna try. Now, granted, these cherry tomatoes were slightly soft, which may have played favors to the polished edge on this Mazaki. Of course, still not screaming sharp, but remember, sharp isn't only about how a knife cuts through paper or a best test. It is the right edge for the right task. 8K edge, cherry tomato, not exactly a match made in heaven. So I was simply happy that it still cut them and then powered through a bunch more for a southern Italian dish I was making called peperonata. What a highly polished 8K edge can be good for is a carrot. You can hear the cracking as I'm slowly slicing through big chunks of the carrot. But then you'll notice there's no actual cracks in the carrot, and no wedging either. What are we then hearing? I've given this quite a bit of thought, and my thinking is as such. If this was a laser of a knife, same build, same steel, same edge by Mazaki, but a thin spine, I don't think we'd hear anything. This is a thicker spine knife with subtle convexity. My thinking is that the cracking sounds are just the carrot being pushed apart by the thicker bevel geometry than you'd expect on a laser, though not in a detrimental way as it doesn't lead to actual physical cracking. In short, it sounds like there's a carrot emergency, but there is no carrot emergency. That being said, this is the first time listening to a carrot sent my thoughts into a frenzy for trying to understand why cracking sound when no cracking on carrot. Why feel so smooth when cutting when I hear what sounds like carrot pain? There you have it. This is how my brain works. Again, because I was making peperonata, a dish which requires bell peppers, I decided I was still going to give this knife a try on the skin side of the pepper. For an 8K edge, really impressed at how it can still handle the bell pepper skin, even if not effortlessly biting into it. The weight of the knife here also really helps when pushing through the pepper. The subtle convexity also came in clutch. Once again, for fun, because otherwise, what are knives for if we take them too seriously? Since there's already no handle, I decided to barely hold the knife and see if the weight of the blade alone would go through the pepper. And yeah, it did. It did so good. Now, as much as I love a bitey 1K edge, there is something so satisfying about cutting garlic with a well-polished edge. Just so effortless. We obviously got some stick here. The subtle convexity isn't enough to release garlic, which is short in height. Another good use of a highly polished edge would be an onion. As you'll see here, despite a knife with a thick tapering spine, this knife is hella thin behind the edge, as is seen in these lateral cuts. Even drag-free. Let's let the rest of this onion footage play out for the ASMR fans. Last knife test, and to complete my peperonata dish, the russet potato. Here I got a bit more experimental, trying to pull and push cut. Abruptly stop after the cut to promote food release. Barely hold the knife, so on and so forth. All for your viewing pleasure and my assessment of this knife. Speaking of viewing pleasure, when I said this knife is highly polished and thin behind the edge, let's do some thin lateral potato cuts. For the other 8 of you who purchased a Mazaki ApexUltra Gyuto, hope you are enjoying your knives and your custom handles are on their way or already installed on your knives. Speaking of handles, here's where my mind is at. I decided once again to commission a custom handle to Josh Let's Handle This from the UK. Like I've done with the Tinker Tank and Tetsujin custom handle, I mock it up in Photoshop. I erased the tang out of the picture and started to import some of my favorite handles from my own collection, from what I've seen on the internet, and some of these are just combinations of what's going on between my 2 ears. There were over a dozen combinations. Now, I obviously have a few favorites, and at this point, when the video comes out, I may have already gotten my custom handle. But let me know in the comments section below which handle would have paired with this knife, either to your personal taste or what do you think I paired with this knife. Make sure you follow me on IG as well at Kitchen Knife Guy to get an early look at what the new handle will be, as most likely I shall not make a post about it here or a video just to show you the new handle on the Mazaki ApexUltra Gyuto. If you like the content I create for you, consider subscribing to this channel and liking this video. Thanks for everything, and I will catch you in the next one. Let's get it! Look, man, no hands. Oh, backflip. Feels like it's a stupid idea. Backflip. Boy shit. Oh!